Doing Good and Doing Well, which is organized each year by IESE MBA students, has grown to become Europe's leading conference on responsible business. In this video, IESE Professor Mike Rosenberg and 3 business leaders highlight some of the main issues to emerge at this year's conference.
What's terrific about the Doing Good, Doing Well conference is that it's student-led. The students define the agenda, the students define the speaker series, the students define everything. What it is 7 years ago when a group of students got together, they looked for an umbrella organization which is wide enough for all of their interests to fit. So the conference changes every year based upon the interests of the students.
I think there is a slight demand among consumers for products that are more efficient, which means that we are developing products that are more energy efficient, like the white goods and also light sources and solutions for lighting at home. Also when it comes to water taps, water consumption, to reduce that. And solutions for sorting your waste and also minimizing waste in your home. If we can communicate in a simple and clear way that you can do something that is good both for the environment and for your wallet, so to say, you save on cost, that will be a very good match. We have, of course, a big need of wood-based materials. That is more than 50% of the material we use for Ikea products. We know exactly where it's from and that it's from not any areas that should be protected. And to support these basic principles we have about 20 forestry experts graduated from university that are employed by Ikea, working in the different regions over the world, helping the suppliers to find the right sources, but also to do audits to follow up that it really happens. And then to support all those efforts, we have a huge collaboration with WWF, the Worldwide Fund for Nature, since 8 years on forestry now. So we are running a large amount of forestry projects in the world, from, you could say, the Baltic states throughout the Carpathians, out in Asia, China, Russia. We have today about 1,200 suppliers that are spread in more than 50 countries over the world. And what we do actively is working together with our suppliers to develop them. 10 years ago, we introduced a code of conduct, ethical purchasing code, you could say, where we put a lot of requirements on social, environmental, and working conditions for all the suppliers. Then we have between 80 to 100 auditors that are fully employed by Ikea. They audit each and every supplier over the world, but also help them to find solutions on the issues that we identify at the audits.
We started as an NGO in 1990. We had the opportunity to grow for 10 years as an NGO, thinking about creating opportunities for low-income people in Mexico. So we decided to transform ourselves into a financial institution, what is called a SOFOR, a limited scope financial institution in Mexico. Because we thought that if we reached the markets, we would be able to grow in a more rapid manner. And actually, 6 years from that, we grew from 60,000 clients to 600,000 clients. As a limited scope institution in Mexico, we were unable to handle savings, and we transform ourselves into a bank to be able to provide more services to the low-income segment, such as savings, insurance, other type of credits. What about the reputation? At the beginning, nobody knew about us. And then we transformed into a bank, and now somebody started to notice us, and because we really thought that we wanted to create an industry. 2 years after we created a bank, we did our IPO, we went public, and we're listed in the Mexican Bolsa. We think that we have to create an industry, a microfinance to be seen as an industry, to be able to provide much more services throughout the world, and having the big companies throughout the world to be able to finance microfinance services. For our customers, it's basically the same. We've been the same people providing the same services. It doesn't matter for them if we're an NGO, a financial institution, or a bank. For them, we are Compartamos, that's it. They now are receiving much more services. So they can obtain not only working capital loan that we provided at the beginning, now they can obtain an insurance, life insurance, they can obtain a housing renovation loan, and right now we're working for the savings account. So for a client, instead of seeing us as a bad manner, it doesn't really matter if you're a bank. For them, it's just who is providing the service. Most of financial institutions tend to think that microfinance is very risky business, and it's not an economic value. So when we decided to go into the IPO, we showed up that there is an industry. But we've seen a lot of experiences in which big financial institutions try to come down, and what they've been doing is, instead of going down themselves, they are kind of buying other small institutions and having both cultures completely separated. Big banks, they haven't been able to provide them as scalable as microfinance institutions. We really think that you have to be socially motivated at the beginning to be able to grow. We define our social value as reaching the most people at the fastest possible way.
Offset Options' goal is to increase access to the voluntary carbon market, which is the market where individuals and businesses choose to buy carbon offsets to offset their emissions. And we've definitely seen huge growth in the voluntary carbon market over the last many years. The Offset Options online carbon marketplace represents carbon offset sellers who are part of a series of standards, or who meet a series of standards in the carbon marketplace. And these represent specific types of carbon offset projects. So these are being generated by wind farms, energy efficiency projects, and forestry, and those types of things. Businesses and individuals seeing increased consumer and media awareness, taking responsibility for their own carbon footprint, which is a term that we often hear. And a carbon footprint is the carbon emissions that are the result of energy use. For example, when you're producing a product, the energy use in manufacturing and shipping of that product to the end consumer, that's the product's carbon footprint.
Alternative energy has been a theme since the beginning of the conference, but it has grown lately to a much higher level. Nobody knows what the energy mix will be in the future. Some companies believe that it's going to be very much oil and gas and are doing very little in the alternative energy space, while others, such as Iberdrola, are doing quite a lot. Even ExxonMobil, who have a very classical and conventional point of view about the future, but even they believe that the renewables, energy efficiency, and what they call the smart grid will be the highest growth areas over the next 5 to 10 years. It depends really which industry you're in, how much this affects you or not. But you see three basic approaches to the future. Some companies believe the future won't change. Other companies believe that the best thing to do is to hedge your bets, to make small or relatively small investments on renewables and alternative energy, because there are some exotic alternatives which are not necessarily renewable, just in case the world does change. And still other companies are embracing the change completely, making tremendous bets about the future. So one of the themes that came out of the conference for the students really is, if you're thinking about a career in this area, where is the best place to go? Should you go to a big company where if you can get them to move a little bit in one direction, you can have a huge impact? Or should you go to a small startup, which is starved for cash, where you're trying to change the planet with relatively little funds?